Rain has subsided, at least temporarily, here at Washougal, Washington for the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship. Here's what the track looks like, courtesy of the Kawasaki track map.
It doesn't look this great right now, but drop that gate, go up the slight hill over this crest, drop down, hopefully get that motorsport.com hole shot, make a right, then scrub this jump, then back on the rear wheel, get the gas on the ground, over the crest of the hill, sweep left. These turns at the base are getting slick, through some rollers into another drop-off. This turn getting really rutted. Back up, make a right, and then drop back down in front of all the fans. It's a pretty good sized drop off. Then the chicane is actually a split lane. Pick your option. Drop down again, go over the Chuck Sun jump. That's been there forever. Make a right. Come through the Red Bull triple, which we saw the 250F riders having a tough time in the mud. Then over this new wall jump they've built with some sand. Swing right. Hopefully you can clear this on a 450. We saw Christian Craig go down that turn, so a lot of those corners off camera is slick and treacherous. Then through the trees, they've slowed this section down as well by having two big rollers over this crest, and then the final turn before the finish line. These rollers are really slick and technical right now. It's hard to even go in a straight line over the finish line jump. Then you come to the back part of the track. A lot of switchbacks, right, left. Continue like that a few times. Then you start heading back towards the Fram Mechanics area. Go over this little Bud Light jump, which they're just scrubbing through the Western Power Sports section. Then over this little jump, you see the mechanics at the Fram Mechanics area.
And the riders are at the starting gate, so let's send it to Georgia Lindsay with the GoPro starting gate.
Jason, you just said the rain had subsided. It did momentarily, but in true motocross fashion, it has started again. So I hope you guys are good in the dry there. But no matter what, at the races, being a privateer is incredibly hard, and especially when we have mud races like this, it's so much work on the bike. But the number 11 of Kyle Chisholm, he actually got his best overall, which was 11th, funnily enough, last weekend at Millville. However, after the race, he didn't go to a hotel. He went and slept in the airport. He then went home, but working as privateers in these races is just unbelievable. I mean, sleeping in an airport straight after a race, those guys are tired enough. But yeah, we definitely have to give a shout out to the number 11 of Kyle Chisholm and all the privateers out there.
Thanks, Georgia. Yes, the number 11 last week got 11th in both motos and finished 11th. Hey, Mike Alessi's back at the 800. He won a moto here in 2012. We'll see how he does.
Can only mean one thing, Lurch.
Dave Despain is back with new interviews for an all-new season of the Dave Despain Show, and you can catch an all-new episode with Brian Deegan, who used to do some racing out here at Washougal. It's tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern and Pacific, only on MAV TV. Back at Washougal, Fly Racing cards are up. We're almost ready to go racing in the 450 class. FMF Privateer Power, shout out to Cody Gilmore, not racing this weekend, but last weekend Yeoman's effort raised about $3,000 for Ryan Dungy's Minnesota Major ride for St. Jude Cancer Research. And,
really cool.
And rode 62 miles on the bicycle on Sunday as part of that event after racing two motos at Millville. Here's your KTM keys to the moto.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah. Well, we said it before, slick track. We got rain on, rain off. We'll have to see how it goes throughout the next 30+2. Stay on the bike. We saw that. We had a couple guys throw it away. And today, which Ken Roxon will show up? We've seen a little bit of inconsistency this year. He was our Bud Light fast qualifier. Can he translate that into maximum points?
Heard that Roxon did a lot of work with the Suzuki folks this week out in California to make some bike changes, hoping to turn things around after a 4th place finish at our last race in Millville. Hasn't won an overall since High Point about a month ago. So watch out for the number 1. They're all trying to knock off the number 5. Dungy, your points leader.
Wow, great start on the outside.
Justin Brayton going to try to lead them in, but he's going to get edged out. It's a pair of what else? Joe Gibbs Racing Yamahas. Oh, Justin Barsha, the 51. Ooh, stubs the knee there, and he's got his teammate Phil Nicoletti right with him. So the Auto Trader, Toyota Yamahas, 1-2, just like they were last week.
And it's not Groundhog Day, folks. This is not a replay. This is the same two guys we saw at Millville throwing Anderson in the second moto, but these JGR Yamahas just electric out of the gate. But like Barsha did tell us, there's more than just having a bunch of horsepower. You got to use it correctly.
Wow, and I'm still not sure who got the official nod there. It was almost a photo finish. They're saying it's Barsha. That would be 6 straight Motorsport.com hole shots for him. And there's been much talk. He's been on fire as of late, won 2 races in a row, then finished second last week at Millville, and is closing in on Roxon for second in the standings and leading them here at Washougal with his teammate, filthy Phil Nicoletti, probably literally filthy in these conditions, second. And I think that was Christoph Porcel, the Rockstar Husky, with a good start in third. Yes, there is the official call. Hole shot for Barsha. And he'll take care of the rest from here. Certainly the starts and the riding have been on point as of late.
Yeah, they have. The starts, that's a great foundation to anything. And talk about starts, let's have a look at the motorsport.com whole shot replay. You see Nicoletti gets into the first turn first, braking right there, but Barsha, look at that, power sliding like a speedway rider around the outside. And I think he just gets Nicoletti at the line. We'll have to see that from the side angle, because we've usually we don't have to. Oh, look at that. Wow. That is a knobby length, if that. That is the closest.
Finish. Absolute photo finish. Literally.
Derby right there.
Yeah. So Dungey, by the way, the back of the screen has climbed up to 4th, but it's Barsha, Nicoletti, and Porcel, top 3 at the moment. And Barsha, who won this race on a 250 back in 2012, starting to march away a bit from his teammate.
Yeah, you can see that rain picking up, Jason. Georgia mentioned it. That's it seems like every time we went to Christian Craig in the 250 motor, he tipped over. And every time we said it's stopping the rain, it picked back up. So you can see it's raining. You can see how slick it is. Look at Barsha just going through those tear-offs. So if you look, you might be wondering, wait, it looks like he has roll-offs. Why is he pulling tear-offs? A lot of times the goggle guys will put a few tear-offs on the top they call in case you don't get the start. So when you get roosted from every angle and your whole face is plastered, you can pull a couple tear-offs. And then once it's settled down and everyone's more in single file, you start going through the roll-offs. But he's stretching it out. So Barsha doing what he's done a lot of times, get a great start and just start trying to pull away. But how about Porcel? I would say, folks, keep an eye on him, because Porcel's the kind of guy, when he wakes up and decides that this is his kind of track and these kind of conditions that suit the crafty Frenchman, I'm going to put him as my dark horse. But look, he's right behind him. He's got Ryan Dungey, so this is going to be very interesting. I'm curious to see how this race pans out.
Well, Porcel, the start's important to everyone, but he seems to have motos predicated more on the start than anyone. Had a bunch of good starts and good finishes in a row. Then last week didn't get good starts and struggled to just get inside that top 10. Here he's got the 3rd place start, so we'll see what he can do with it. Been a pretty strong season for him on the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna, making his return to racing. Did not race Supercross this year, but might have a shot with them next year indoors. We'll see if that pans out. They're in negotiations.
I hope that happens.
Yes.
I think Porcel's a great asset, you know, or just another one of those ringers you can throw into the mix who just excites the sport, brings something cool and different. But he's been a little inconsistent this year, but at times he's shown us that he is as good as just about anybody. And on other days, like you said, Jason, just if the starts weren't there, wasn't quite feeling it, just kind of mediocre. But on his day, Porcel can run with the best. And in fact, he's put a little bit of distance between himself and Ryan Dungey. Not a ton, but, you know, making some distance. And then behind Dungey, the 41 red bike, that's Trey Kennard. Great to have Trey back. Probably not the conditions he was hoping for, but hey, this is motocross. We race outdoors, you deal with all the elements.
So Kennard back at the screen right now, 5th place. Welcome back. Broke his arm in April in a crash in Detroit Supercross. Really wasn't his fault, as Jake Weimer had I think it was a bike problem in front of him.
It was an ugly crash regardless.
Right, and Weimer wasn't able to make a jump. Kennard had nowhere to go and landed on him. And at that time, there was hope with about 6 weeks between then and our Lucas Oil Pro Motocross opener that maybe Kennard could get back in time, but the arm was slow in healing. And Trey, who's had, unfortunately, his share of injuries throughout his career, he knows better than to rush back. So he waited. We had him hanging out with us a bit here in the booth at Redbud, and said he was hoping to make Washougal for his debut in motocross this year, and he made it happen. The point I'm making here is Kennard, because he doesn't rush back, when he does return, you can count on him being at 100%. So he's a contender today.
Like you say, I've always said this one thing, throwing in one decent lap time, any talented rider, or shouldn't say any, but talented riders are able to come and make that happen when they come back. But putting together motos, that's a whole different story. And as these guys get older and wiser, they realize that. George, you got something to add for us?
Well, guys, this is kind of what the guys are wearing on the track right now. These are a pair of Oakley roll-off goggles. They normally wear tear-offs when it's not raining. However, these are roll-offs. As you can see, I've got mud on the front of these goggles on this clear piece of plastic. All they got to do is grab this toggle, normally while they're on a jump or tabletop in the air, pull it, and it clears the mud away. Now, this does last quite a while with the roll we have on the end. However, when this does run out, their vision is done. We actually have riders coming into the pits as we speak to change goggles because the conditions are pretty treacherous.
Pretty tough for the pit reporter, the conditions as well. So we salute Georgia for hanging in there in the rain. And Canard has closed up a bit on Dungey as Porcel, Nicoletti, and Barsha have gotten away from him. So the real battle is between 4th and 5th. Canard here on the red 41. Ken Roxon, by the way, not a good start. Your fast qualifier. Mentioned that Bud Light award earlier, but he's only in 9th right now in these muddy conditions where it's really hard to make passes in bunches.
Well, you got to factor in for Ryan Dungey, there's a lot more to lose today than to gain. So a 4-4, you know, would be a bad day for a lot of his fans and team, and everyone say, oh, he had a bad day. But a 4-4 on a day like on the 9th round out of 12 with a 56-point lead, you got to factor that in. So he's going to play it smart. Dungey's not hanging it out. You know, Canard's almost got nothing to lose. Unfortunately, your health is always something. So if you crash and get hurt, you know, you're back to square one. That's in the back of the mind. But for Trey Canard, it's all about just being competitive, racing well. He's debuting the new 2016 Fly gear. You know, he's just trying to have a great result. He wants to be on the podium. So, you know, there's a couple people with different agendas, in my opinion, out there right now. Barsha, he's just got a, let's call it the mid-season excitement, moving on to the tail end. Either way, whatever Barsha's been putting in his Wheaties, he needs to continue doing it. Nicoletti, great. I mean, New Yorker, let's be real. This is right up his alley as well. He probably feels pretty comfortable. So, and then obviously Porcel.
Oh, Canard! Washes going
spot.
up the hill. Yeah, he crashed there years ago. It was much more violent.
I was going to say that was way easy for him.
He's all right this time. Yeah, he's all right this time. But it was back in 2011. Everybody was thinking that if we saw him get sideways going up that hill, Freezy is going to get by him. Good ride for Freezy. That'll move him up to 5th.
Oh, man, look at Canard. Now he tries to find neutral. And that's the thing sometimes I want to say to these guys. Don't panic. Take that half a second and just think. Put it in neutral. These 4 strokes, when they're warm, will start in neutral. Now you see he gets it started. But, you know, some of these guys tend to waste 5 to 10 seconds by trying to pull the clutch in and start it. These bikes with heavy compression, all that horsepower, and when they're hot, got to find neutral. Take that extra second or two to get it set up and get going. But anyway,
that's going to push Canard, I believe, outside of the top 10. So unfortunate for him. He was looking good, putting some heat on Dungey in his first race this year. Meanwhile, let's go to the GoPro track preview. And Grant, you can tell us what it's like to actually ride here at Washougal.
Now this is on board with Ken Roxon. You see this is that drop-off. A lot more fans there now. Now you see the split section. So he goes to the outside, which then puts him on the inside for the right-hander. Little drop-off. We saw Travis Pastrana have a violent crash there in 01 over the Chuck Sun jump. Pick your line. See Roxon trying to stay out of the slick stuff. Back on the gas. Triple step up. And then they've added this new little wall jump. So they brake through the sand on the gas. Don't go anywhere. Plenty of action when we come back.
Out here, there are actions and reactions, risks and rewards. Weather will play a factor. And 30 minutes feels like a lifetime. It's the Unadilla National from New Berlin, New York, round 10 of the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship. In 2 weeks, August 1st, first moto coverage at 1 Eastern right here on MAV TV. And we'll have a weekend off. It's the traditional break for the Rocky Mountain Amateur National at Loretta Lynn Ranch coming up. And I know that they've got a viewing party for this event down there at Tennessee right now watching our show. So shout out to all the top amateurs who will probably be racing this event at Washougal as pros somewhere down the line as Justin Barsha continues to lead.
And knowing the thunder showers they have down in Tennessee, they might even be riding in conditions pretty similar to that. Be a lot more humid and muggy, but the track sometimes looks a little bit like this off those flashlights. But look at this battle picking up right now. Nicoletti and Dungey,
And
they're
that
getting
is-
to it.
We had Porcel in that spot, so I'm trying to figure, did Porcel get Nicoletti
Oh.
first, or did Dungey get Nicoletti first? Either way, Dungey has now made the pass, and Nicoletti not able to jump those jumps going downhill in the ruts. It is Porcel. Yes, Porcel got Nicoletti first, so he is second. And now Dungey has made the move to get into third. And a little flashback here to see Porcel and Dungey battle it out way back in 2009, that those riders had a slugfest for the 250 championship. And they both had a bad moto and good moto at Washougal that day. And Dungey ended up winning the title over Porcel. Ever since then, it's been pretty much aces for Dungey in his career. Won a lot of titles, a lot of races. Porcel's never quite been able to get the train on the tracks for an extended period of time. But he's been pretty good this summer here at the Rockstar Husqvarna, so it'll be interesting to see them battle it out.
Very interesting. You see Porcel has a little look. He sees it's Ryan Dungey, championship leader, but how about Barsha with a 15-second lead?
Wow.
He's riding a phenomenal pace, and it's pretty cool to see. But Porcel, he woke up this morning and figured, today is the day I'm going to shine out there. Dungey, he wants to be up there. We know that. But in the back of his mind, he knows theoretically the only way he's going to lose this title is by being injured. So you don't want to, you know what I mean? It kind of pushes, it helps you, 90% might be your limit sometimes, not 110 or, 95 instead of 105.
And is it even more so in these conditions where it's a little bit slick?
I think so. It's not something where you can really be aggressive. So you start, just trying to be a little, I don't want to say conservative, but you just don't really push the envelope is the best way to try and put it, for people at home that maybe haven't been in this position. He's got such a big lead in the points. And not to mention his closest rival, which is Ken Roxon, is quite a ways behind him in time and a few positions behind. So for Dungey, it's a little bit like no man's land in a sense. A racer wants to win, but a racer doesn't want to be in the hospital bed either. He wants to. The big picture is winning the 2015 title, so that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and a couple weeks ago, he was battling with Barsha and putting in a heck of an effort to try to win it, but Barsha was able to edge him, and Dungey said, I'm not sitting back there in second. You want to win every race, but you do have to think at least certain sections or certain times of the race where you might want to be smart about it. And he has been one of the best ever at that, Ryan Dungey, as far as being consistent. And
what does consistency win?
Yeah, it wins titles. The most amazing stat of all, I think, for me with Dungey, and by the way, he is third all-time in national motocross wins. That's impressive, but here's the most amazing thing. Since the start of the 2008 season, he has never missed one of these nationals. 7 straight years without missing one of these motocross races. Unreal. Georgia, you got something for us?
Yeah, well, I'm looking at the goggles, and when these guys are coming in, Weston Pike just pulled in the pits to quickly try and change his goggles, and I just spoke to Brent Presnell, Trey's mechanic, and he said he went out with 2 pairs of goggles, which he did previously, and it actually worked. However, Grant, is there any special timing that you should do to come in and change your goggles, or is it a matter of whenever I get a good break? Like, is there something you should do in this situation?
I would say you shouldn't be pulling in the pits because that's not part of motocross vocabulary. That's usually a, makeshift situation. I've had it once or twice where you've gone down the first turn and your face landed in a puddle of water where literally the inside and the outside of the lens, like your goggles were done on lap 1. Pull in the pits, get some fresh goggles, and try and make your way through the pack. Anytime you pull in the pits, that's never a good situation in motocross, but you got to weigh out the option. How much time are you going to lose per lap by squinting and trying to avoid people's roofs and basically laboring back? And as opposed to coming in, losing maybe 20 to 30 seconds getting goggles, if it's early in the race, you can make it up. It's late in the race, I say don't go in the pits. You're just going to have to learn to deal with it, try and overcome suffering with bad vision.
I don't know what time you should go in the pits for goggles. The only thing I know about time is that we have 15 minutes to go in this moto, and in 15 minutes you can call Geico and save 50% or more on your insurance. We found Blake Baggett here on the radar. He is 5th. Hard to figure out who anyone is today since they're all covered in mud. So the Yoshimura Suzuki rider into the top 5 now, taking advantage of that crash by Kennard and also making a pass on Vince Friese on the Smart Top Moto Concepts machine. Friese is 6th. Roxon up to 7th on the Jimmy John Soaring Eagle Suzuki. Freddie Noren, factory Honda rider one more time, now filling in for Cole Seeley, who's out for the day with a shoulder injury incurred last week. Noren is 8th. Grant 9th on the Monster Energy Kawasaki, and Micah Lessie in his return to racing on the Smart Top Moto Concepts machine is 10th ahead of Brock Tickle. Here is Baggett, and the story is the same with Baggett every weekend. You can ask him about what the plan is, and it's plug away, learn, make all the races, be consistent in his rookie 450 season. He's done exactly that, and is 4th in points right now. There's Freezy on the 45. Good run for
Great
Freezy.
run. Yeah, well, you know, we talk about Michael Lessie being here, and as his teammate Vince Freeze, great ride.
Freezy was with us at the beginning of the year, raced the first 4 motos out in California, and hasn't raced with us since then. Dungey now going back after Porcel. White bike 2nd, that's Porcel, and then the orange machine is Dungey in a fight for this number 2 spot in traffic.
Now it's for Dungey, where do you make the pass? Because I know we've said it before, but the crafty Frenchman is very tough to get around, especially in these conditions with the pace he's running and the fact that he doesn't want to relinquish that position. So for Dungey, you know, you can sit there and wait for hopefully a mistake. You can sit there and try not push the envelope, but he also doesn't want to be eating roost for another 12 minutes plus 2 laps, because he, like a lot of other guys, will end up running out of film on those roll-offs. So he's caught between a rock and a hard place, but he also knows a second in Moto 1 always puts you in the driver's seat for the overall in the second moto, because the math is simple. Win the second moto, it doesn't matter what anyone else does, you've got it.
And you mentioned that roost and Dungey's taking on right now, so close. And also, you walk this track, and there are some rocks here and there, some like hockey puck-sized rocks and clumps. I mean, they can take a hard hit. Absolutely. In fact, a lot of riders say, I think you've said it before, this is actually some of the most painful roost that they deal with.
Because even the dirt, when it's a little bit dry, it starts packing in, so it's like hard dirt pebbles. It's not your loamy, looser dirt which will hit you and fall apart. It's like
hockey puck, bro.
Yeah, it's like standing up against a wall when you go paintballing, for those of you that have done it, and letting your friends just light you up. It stings.
All right, Dungey going to make it over this Red Bull triple and redouble his efforts to go after Porcel for 2nd place. Barsha is gone, a 16-second lead. Another phenomenal performance for Barsha, who has just gone to another level in the second half of this 2015 Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship. But Barsha, 69 points behind Dungey in the standings. So like you were talking earlier, Dungey doesn't have to worry about Barsha in each particular moto for the title. Although he knows you also don't want to get the competition's confidence up.
Yeah, if you let them beat you over and over and over, it starts getting in the guy protecting the points head.
Yep.
And on the flip side, the other guys start going, hey, if I keep this pressure on, and he has one bad motor or a mistake or a crash or a mechanical, this could change everything.
So Dungey not able to pull the trigger yet on Porcel. He's got that fresh 2016 Fly Racing gear. Got to see him last night at a really cool launch party for the brand last night in downtown Portland, and making it look good in 2nd. All right, Porcel still in 2nd. Good battle here. Lucas Oil Pro Motocross from Washougal, but Dungey closes in on him again. Every time you think you've got this figured out, Porcel's going to hold him. No, Dungey's going to make an attack. No, Porcel's going to hold him off. As they go past the Fry Mechanics area, Dungey to the inside, it just slices through. I did not see that coming, and now runs it high to prevent the repass from Porcel. Wow, that was a quick strike.
That was perfectly executed by Dungey. He did what he had to do to get by. And now for Porcel, even if he's got the pace, got to try and make it work. So Dungey, watch this, goes to the outside. We always say this in racing. If you go to the outside, it gives you a chance to square it up and cut underneath the guy if he goes to the outside. Porcel had to roll off. Otherwise, he's going to lose the front end from Dungey. Great pass by Ryan Dungey.
And then Dungey ran him high in the next corner. I'm not sure if Dungey just had too much speed, couldn't hit stop, or if he was worried about Porcel passing him back. But either
both,
way,
maybe.
a little bit of both. Okay. Either way, Dungey up into 2nd. We've seen a few moments, though, this year of uncharacteristic aggression from Ryan Dungey, and then aggressive passes. I mean, there wasn't anything foul about that or outside the typical racing boundaries, but...
Well, I also think he's tired of being known as the nice guy, the diesel, that will work through things. He's shown us this year, he will attack when he needs it. He'll do what, just like number 51, Justin Barsha would do. This kid he attacks all the time, and I got to give him a shout out right now because this really impresses me about the number 51. We talk about his Bam Bam nickname and his aggressive riding style and how he just over revs it and does this and does that, but we're on a track where you cannot ride that way. You cannot ride like Bam Bam. You cannot ride on the rev limiter. You cannot be wide open everywhere without using the clutch or using your skill, technique, talent, all that. Barsha is a great example of attacking. He tries to get the most out of everything. And I'm just really impressed in these kind of conditions where it's so easy to throw it away and override, how he's able to hold it together. And just basically he's dominated these mud races, which usually a guy with a very aggressive riding style would do well. I know he's from New York, so he knows how to do it, but he also just knows how to find that balance, which really impresses me. I mean, I got to be honest right now, really impressed with how he's able to find that happy medium.
And the starts certainly help, and maybe a little help for the team comes from the fuel. VP Racing Fuels that the Joe Gibbs Racing team's been using for a while. We had a chance to talk to their team manager, Jeremy Albrecht, about using that stuff earlier.
Yeah, VP's been a great partner. We've had them as a sponsor the whole time we've had the team since the beginning, and I worked with them before that, so I knew the company really well. And you know, they're just really good. They make a lot of good power. When the rules changed, they really worked hard to make a fuel that was great for these bikes here with low octane and high power. So yeah, they're a great partner, and they make a lot of power for our bikes and very consistent fuel, so that's why we stick with them.
And they're sticking with the good starts. Yeah, when Barsha won this race, I remember in 2012 on a 250, he said, I used to be the worst hard pack rider in the world, but I'm getting better at this slick stuff. And you can watch Justin Barsha and all the stars of Lucas Oil Pro Motocross every weekend at promotocross.com. We'll have all 4 motos live every weekend there, or you can watch it on the NBC Sports Live Extra app. Whether we're live on television or not, we'll always have it there on the web or on the app for your phone or a tablet. Justin Barsha wheeling away from the competition today. Catch all the action as the stars of the Lucas Oil Off-Road Racing Series do battle Sunday at 2 Eastern, right here on MAV TV. Checking in with Ken Roxon here in a moment as we're watching Lucas Oil Pro Motocross from Washougal. Roxon, your defending series champ there, is of the number 1 Soaring Eagle Jimmy John Suzuki. Now Roxon won at High Point a little over a month ago in Pennsylvania, went 2-1 for the overall, but his moto finishes since then 5-4, 3-3, 3-4. For just about any rider, that's great. Podium finishes in the motos, but last year's champ, after getting that win in Pennsylvania, we thought it was time for the big breakthrough and things were swinging his way. It hasn't been quite the same since. Heard he was out in California doing a lot of testing with Suzuki this week to try to figure out some bike settings. He's trying to figure out the answers, and this guy's dealt with a lot this year. A lot of nagging injuries, the back injury that was really difficult to deal with at the beginning of motocross. An ankle injury from Monster Energy Supercross that I think, you know how ankles are. It never fully goes away, not at least for a long time.
No, because they're basically the core of your body suspension. You see them stand up, they use their knees, but a lot of that weight goes through the ankles, and he just hasn't quite, you know, we've seen some signs of brilliance. I mean, there's still a good, hard-fought, tough ride right now, but when you Ken Roxon, a world champion, a reigning national champion, like you said, Jason, motos off the podium where he actually lost a podium position at the end, just quite characteristic. You said he had done some testing, and I do believe through the grapevine, I think with some of those, you know, these guys running the air forks now on the front, I think he just wasn't quite comfortable with the feeling he had, and I think a few guys have had that. He's tried to work on it, had some time to test, probably made some good progress, and then comes here and the track's completely different. So it's almost like, you know, a washout in a sense, because it's not really a place to really get a good feel for the suspension when it's completely different to what you were testing on. So that makes any sense.
Well, it's a survival race. They're not pushing the pace like they would if it was dry conditions.
This is more mental and using throttle control and everything. Freddie Noren trying to get through the whoops.
On the red bike there, center of the screen, he's 7th behind Roxon.
Well, he actually just lost
Jason Anderson.
Yeah. That was Anderson. I wasn't sure, but I saw someone blouse around, and it was actually Jason Anderson. Got a great run through those rollers. Just wasn't sure if Freddie made a mistake, which maybe it did, but Oh, dealing with some lap traffic.
So Noren on the 39 here is back to 8th. Now it's interesting, he's still with the factory Honda team this weekend, still is the factory Honda bike. Now he's Cole Seeley's replacement after Kennard has returned. But he's running the graphics, so we'll throw the shout out to his privateer team that he normally rides for, which is a GPI Motorsport.com Honda. And when Seeley does return to action, which might be at our next race in Unadilla, then Freddie will go back with the GPI Motorsport team and pit with them. It's a good track for Freddie.
He's had some good results here. In fact, in the past few years, I remember always seeing his name between 5th and 10th.
Yep.
So he likes these kind of conditions. Maybe something a little more familiar to where he grew up in Sweden. Don't know exactly where that was or the tracks he rode on. You never know all everyone's local tracks, but a little more European style. So I think that kind of makes some sense there. But he's had a couple of great results this year. Look at those ruts getting deep.
And his teammate Kennard just got by him. So 2 little mistakes from Noren. Anderson was able to squeeze by for 7th, and now Kennard getting by him, moving into 8th.
When you're in those deep ruts and you start paddling with your feet, it's usually that's the sign to get out of that deep rut and start finding something new. That means it's the premier line has gotten so deep and wore out. You got to start searching. And is that Vince Freeze?
Yeah, still solid in 10th place. Good job for him at the Smart Top Moto Concepts machine, and 2 Kawasaki's fighting for it. 33 Josh Grant is 11th, and then that was a lap rider. He's with Kyle Chisholm not too far behind him in 12th. Grant is the replacement for the injured Will Hahn at Monster Energy Kawasaki. Unfortunately, we lost Chad Reed's Discount Tire 22 Motorsports team. He had to shut the doors on that, and that meant Grant was left without a ride, although credit to Chad, said that he still will pay Grant his salary for the rest of the year anyway. Just didn't have a bike for him to ride anymore. But now Grant's picked it up with the factory squad. And last week, Grant said he knew he was going to blow himself out in the motos, hadn't been riding a lot. Felt good enough this week to do a little bit of riding. And good enough right now for 11th. Now we find Chisholm. The number 11 is 12th today. And also won some money at a big privateer challenge event Thursday night, not too far from here. Oh, he's got pressure though from Weston Pike on the 23. The other third rider on the Joe Gibbs Racing Yamaha team in blue. Pike is 13th, trying to get Chisholm. Gonna get him. Chisholm able to beat him to the left side of the track.
But Chisholm has no goggles, Pike has goggles, so I think this is going to end pretty quickly.
And that was inevitable with the vision situation there, so Pike able to make the move.
And for those of you at home that don't really understand what we're talking about with that, when you have no goggles, you've got mud flying in your face and rain and that, it's really hard to even just keep your eyes open. You have a tendency to want to close them. And when you start closing your eyes, trust me, you slow down, whether you like it or not. It's not by choice, it just happens. And that's why we often talk about how critical vision is in this sport. The longer you got vision actually, the longer you have it, if you have a vision advantage over someone at the end of the race, it's also a speed advantage.
Oh, nicely said. All right.
Well, thank you, Jason.
Relatable terms. Well, look at the difference. Pike made the pass, and it's pulled away big time. And the Fly Racing 2-lap card is now out for Barsha. With the Lucas Oil race recap and show you how Barsha was able to build this type of a gap. Now 20 seconds over Ryan Dungey. And as it has been for the previous 5 motos and now 6 in a row, it starts with a Motorsport.com hole shot for the 51.
Yeah, he just powered his way around Nicoletti. He looked like he had it almost knacked into the second corner. Grabs a handful, gets that lead, and then we have a look back. Yeah, Trey Kennard crashes first race back, loses the front end going up the hill. Not painful, just more of a pain.
It's a good battle for second. Christoph Porcel on the white bike. Husqvarna has it.
What a beautiful
Ryan
pass.
Dungey. Woo.
Dungey must, I'm telling you, I think he's been trying to work on, one of the things I said to him personally and on TV is you got to get around guys quicker. You get stuck in the pace. You can't sit there, be a little more aggressive. He has really learned to fix one of his weaknesses. One of his weaknesses, meaning he doesn't have very many.
No.
Let's be real. But getting around people, being aggressive was probably it. And he's done so well at setting up these passes now where he gets them done and executes them beautifully.
And he's able to get around everyone but Barsha. Gap is still huge, 22 seconds now But it's a two-moto format in motocross, and a second in the first moto, as they say, is as good as a first. If Dungey can come back and beat Barsha in Moto 2, he'll be the overall winner for the day. And I can guarantee you Barsha is going to make that as difficult as possible for Dungey to do it. Barsha,
of course, he'll do that with anyone.
Yep.
Barsha
Barsha trying to get 3 out of 4.
Yeah, he didn't win at Dungey's home race in Millville, Minnesota. Dungey was on fire that day, especially a couple of those passes he made, like when he passed Barsha on that downhill. That was just a real power, gutsy move. And Barsha, though, has been right there. Even though he couldn't quite run with Dungey's pace at the last round in Millville, he gave it everything he had. You can never be disappointed with a rider who gives it everything. But he has really come on form lately. He said he's worked with JGR Yamaha as well as factory Yamaha, just trying to get comfortable together. I know Keith McCarty puts a lot of effort in this, Jimmy Perry, Dan Rambert, Bob Oliver, and the rest of the Yamaha guys, as well as the whole JGR crew. And you can see those little things just start coming together. And I bet you the bike is not that much better. I just think it got a little bit better, and the confidence came with it. And confident rider is what, Jason?
Fast Rod?
Thank you.
There you go. White flag is out for Barsha. Yeah, it was really funny. Earlier in the year, he finished on the podium at Glen Helen, and he was happy to finish on the podium, to get a podium finish. Last week, he finishes on the podium but doesn't win at Millville, Minnesota. Disappointed. And he said it's really funny how that works. You know, at the time at Glen Helen, round 2, just happy. Top 3 was all we were shooting for. Now he expects to win every time he goes out there. And
well, that's what he expects now.
Yep.
Once you get a taste of it, you're not that happy, especially when you're leading and Dungey passes you as a racer.
No.
You're like, man, I had the lead, I did everything, I just didn't quite have the pace that day.
Now, if you want to see Barsha go for the overall win today, you got to switch over to NBCSN in just a few minutes. We'll have our second motos here from Washougal. First, our 250 Moto 1, that's coming up next on NBCSN. And then, in a little over an hour, our second 450 Moto, where Justin Barsha will try to go for his third overall win in 4 races from this Peterson Cat Washougal Washington National.
I bet you those Peterson Caterpillar machines are going to be working overtime between motos. And also got to give a shout out to, I always mention JGR, but you got Autotrader.com on board with these guys. Toyota do a lot for them. Factory Yamaha, great operation. Obviously, when you got a team owner such as Joe Gibbs, legendary football coach for the Washington Redskins.
I call him the greatest living American. He win NASCAR titles and football titles. In America, that really doesn't get much better than that. I just got to explain it to you.
Maybe,
I know you're from South Africa.
Well, I get that. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I actually, you know what? Watched a little one-hander from Barsha, but I watched a little bit about Coach Gibbs, and I've actually been to the JGR factory, and what an impressive place. Seeing the motocross facility as well as that NASCAR operation, mind-boggling, but really cool. The whole Gibbs family, Coy Gibbs, who puts this operation together, J-Bone, Jeremy Albrecht, that we heard from earlier. They all work hard for these guys, and I think they're very thankful and happy to have a kid like Justin Barsha that wants to put in the same kind of effort every weekend. Win or lose, he gives you everything he's got.
Well, I was lucky enough to host the press conference at Hell when they signed him, and Coach Gibbs said the main thing with Barsha we feel he's a leader. He's the kind of guy that's going to bring us all to the next level, and that's exactly what he's doing.
That comes from the football mentality.
He's a competitive guy in everything, Coach is, and so is Justin Barsha. White flag's going to turn into the checkers here, and Barsha's going to win yet another moto. What a run for him, dominating the first race of the 450 class here at Washougal.
And he did dominate. He started stretching it back out again at the end. Unbelievable. Great job.
Dungey going to come across the line about 25 seconds back in the number 2 spot, but you got to figure there's a rematch brewing for these guys in our second moto, which we'll have in a little over an hour here from Washougal. We'll talk to Barsha when we return. Back here at Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship, and you can get official Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship gear at motosport.com, which also has a ton of other great stuff. If you want to go dirt bike riding or just even hang out and look cool, let's send it to Georgia with our moto winner.
Wow, what a dominating performance from Justin Barsha there. Huge congratulations. It started with that hole shot. How do you prepare for a hole shot like that and then lead every single lap?
Mentally it's tough because I didn't go out for the parade lap, so I was just thinking keep my bike light, get a lot of power down. That Yamaha's fast. Yeah, I can't thank my whole Autotrader, Toyota, Yamaha team enough. Track was fun out there. Lappers were actually pretty good today. They moved out of the way nice, so that was good. And just rode a smooth, smart race, least mistakes, and just pulled a big lead. So it felt really awesome. Can't thank everyone enough.
Kyle Busch, he actually won the Xfinity race just now, so we could make it 2 for 2. Preparations going into that second race.
Yeah, for sure. Mental game's strong right now. Definitely, coach is probably happy back at the NASCAR race, and we're going to try to keep it on 2 wheels here and get the overall today, and it'll be a good day.
Congratulations, Justin Barsha with a dominating win.
Key word, mental strength is right there. That's really important, and it's showing on the track. Look at the results.
Yeah, another moto win for Barsha. Porcel's going to be on the podium as well behind Dungey. And shout out to Jason Anderson on the last lap, rode the fastest lap of the entire race of anyone, coming from about 30th to finish 6th, even getting around Ken Roxon to make it happen. So well done for the Rockstar Husqvarna rider. Grant just outside of the top 10 on the Monster Kawasaki in 11th. Pike 12th. So that's 3 JGR bikes in the top 12. Let's send it back to Georgia.
Congratulations, Ryan Dungey, second place in that moto. Now, it's like an ice skating rink out there, incredibly slippery, and you're having to have that battle with Christophe Porcel. What was that like?
Well, these conditions are really rare. I mean, the base is super slippery in this 250 class. They left a line for us to kind of follow into, but got better and better as we went. But overall, you know, I was tried to make it past Porcel as quick as I could. You know, it took me a while. And once from there, I saw Bosch had a little bit of a lead, but you know, I just tried to run it for, you know, be smart, put it up there, and be ready for the second moto.
Best of luck. Thank you, Ryan Dungey.
All right, it'll be interesting to see if Dungey can go after Barsha in the second moto. And we'll have it on NBCSN. Flip channels here in just a few minutes, 6 p.m. Eastern time, 3 o'clock local. NBCSN has 2 straight hours of coverage of our second motos from Washougal. Then a highlight show on Thursday. And then we have a weekend off. We'll be back at Unadilla with NBC coverage, by the way, of our 450 Moto 2 at 4 p.m. Eastern. Let's send it back to Georgia.
Christophe Porcel, congratulations, third place out there. Treacherous conditions out there, incredibly wet. The vision, how was that for you?
Well, you know, when you start in the top 5, I think the vision is pretty good. So they did a good job on the track. I think the track was good, and now it's not raining, so track was good at the end, you know, and I was just kind of stuck in third. Ryan passed me, and you know, I tried to pass him back, but he had a little more speed, and Justin was gone. So you know, we'll try to regroup and get a good start for second moto and try to be on the podium. It will be a good day.
Well, congratulations, third place, Christophe Porcel.
And he said the track actually not so bad at the end, and if as long as it doesn't rain again, we might have some great racing in our second motos on NBCSN.
Yeah, it looks pretty good right now, getting a little bit better. Sky's getting lighter.
FIA World Rally Championships are coming up here on MAV TV if you want to watch that, or if you want to stick with us, ProMotocross.com or NBCSN will have your coverage of our second moto. So Justin Barsha continuing on that roll, and here at a track that might not necessarily fit his style, you're really impressed that he's adapted so well.
Well, it's not even just adapting, it's just how he's able to adapt to the conditions. And he rides aggressive on a track that you can be aggressive, and on a track like this, which is treacherous, he's aggressive where he needs to be and smart where he needs to be. I got to say, I'm really impressed on a guy. If you know racing, if you got an aggressive type riding style, this is not really a track that suits someone, especially when it's extremely slick. So kudos to Barsha and Dungey doing what he has to do to make sure that the 2015 title is in his grasp.
And Marvin Musquin trying to do that in the 250 class. A clutch performance to make the pass on Cooper Webb and get that moto win.
He needed it. He had to do it. And for Martin, he had a bit of a tough one. 13 points erased right there. So we're down to a 6-point battle. That 250 title is still within any one of those 2 front runners' reach.
Especially with the ultimate spoiler in the mix with Cooper Webb, who said he's going to put Marvin Musquin on the ground in the second moto to get revenge for some rough riding. So we are only halfway through our day at Washougal. Please join us at NBCSN for our second motos live. For now, congrats to our first moto winners, Marvin Musquin and Justin Barsha. And congrats to that fan who was able to keep it on 2 feet. Yeah, for Georgia and Grant, I'm Jason. We'll see ya on NBCSN.